Hello, my name is Nita Santiago Horseman. I'm a special education teacher. I've been teaching for over 10 years, from early childhood through high school. My bachelor's is in special education and elementary education. My master's is in early childhood special education. I have 3 young children at this time. Disclaimer: this training and information is for educational purposes only. Please consult with your primary care physician as well as other teachers and therapists within your setting to confirm the services that will best meet the needs of individual children. The CDC provides lists of what is typical development at each age range. They also have it in many different languages to better support and inform families. Keep in mind culture and diversity, as some stages may not be made or be encouraged in the same way. We use this as a guide to know if there are many areas of concern that evaluations and specially designed services may be needed. Some needs are so significant that they are diagnosed at birth or infancy, while others will start to notice as a child is growing. If you look at this chart, you can see a progression of key milestones, and I highly encourage you to check out the CDC's website to see information for each milestone expected here in the U.S. For families who notice a change or lack of development in their child's growth, it may be very emotional. Some parents want affirmation that their child does need help, while others are not ready to accept help being needed. I always try to encourage parents to think of special education or early intervention like getting a coach or music teacher. Some children are naturally good at playing sports, but may need help to get better at it, while most children need a teacher to learn an instrument. The brain has many different regions in which impacts a specific area of our functions. Our ability to coordinate our bodies, our thoughts, our speech, the way we take in sound and visual input. At any point, these areas can be easily disrupted, either due to a developmental struggle from utero or something in nature, in our environment that has impacted our natural development. Things that can impact most greatly are heavy metals that we ingest through our environment, especially as a young child, or as simple as things like food dye, some of which are banned in other states, trauma, and lots of screen time, all impact the development of the brain. According to Dr. Howell and Dr. Reddy, when considering nature versus nurture, nurture always wins. Despite how a child is born into this world, the experiences they face from their environment can make a true difference. You, as child care providers, make a significant and lifelong impact on children's lives. Let's look at an image of the brain. The frontal section, the largest section of our brain, is our reasoning, thoughts, and actions, our prefrontal cortex. This is where we store memories and learn new skills. This area is not fully developed till age 25-30. There is still neuroplasticity throughout our lives, and we can always train our brains and learn new things. However, when thinking about children, it is important to keep in mind that this part of the brain is not yet fully developed. Towards the back of the brain is our cerebellum, as well as a few other small areas such as our amygdala. This area is where we respond when we have big emotions. This is our fight, flight, or freeze response. There's also fawn, but that is where more of a trauma response, where child or adult doesn't want conflict and so will do whatever they are told and accept abuse because they want to keep everyone happy. This part of the brain we have from birth. It's why we cry when our needs need to be met. As we grow, things that seem dangerous are remembered more strongly, but only as it relates to an emotion or quick reaction. A child may learn that when I scream and cry, I'm going to give what I want, the toy I want, so I cry some more. The next time I cry and scream louder till I get what I want. Breaking this cycle can be very challenging and takes time. We will often expect negative behaviors to continue and get worse before they get better, and we can learn safe and healthy ways of asking for something and accepting when we are told no. We need to understand this as we start to look at behaviors and why they happen, what we can do and what we are doing. Dr. Dan Siegel used a term called wise owl barking dog. It means we want to be wise owls. We need to help children come back to their wise owl, the front of our brain, to reason and think. He used a hand example something like this. So this is our wise owl. When we get upset, the barking dog of our brain will all of a sudden start talking. And that's all we can hear, our fight, flight, or freeze response. This is when someone is yelling when upset, or a child who is throwing things. We all have moments like this, but hopefully some tools to regulate ourselves. Children don't often have these tools yet. Next, we need to look at our nervous system. If you look at this image, you can see that our nervous system is like a highway through our entire body. It sends information from one location to another. Another way to think of this is like our brain is mom, and any other point in the body is a child. It sends a signal and says, my stomach hurts, my throat hurts, and mom says, you must be sick. There is one other part of this which would take a lot more discussion, but is important to note. Dad's the gut. And gut will say something isn't right, but not always decide what to do. This is why nutrition is so important in brain development. Not being biased to which parent cares or makes decision in a family, but as an easy way to remember and think about it. While many nervous systems matter, there is one that takes more information than others and is a direct line between brain and gut, the vagal nerve. I first learned about this one when I learned I had a heart condition. My doctor at the time told me that humming was very important to wake up this messenger. Some of the amazing things this nerve controls are heart rate, speech, skin sensations, taste, muscle sensations, immune response, breathing rate, blood pressure, digestion, mood, and sleep, just to name a few. The vagal nerve helps communicate where in our mental state we should be. It is called parasympathetic and sympathetic. Parasympathetic is a state of relaxing and calm ability to think and remember information because we feel safe. This is most often when our nervous system is communicating well, when the vagal nerve is sending a signal to both the gut and the brain saying everything's okay. Nothing in the environment is dangerous. The sympathetic is a state of alarm. There is danger, or the vagal nerve is not responding well. The amygdala will also be in hyperfunction and not turn off. Trauma will often cause a person to stay in this state of alarm and quick reaction, and we want to help them get back to the parasympathetic, where humming can actually help, along with many other strategies we will talk about later on. In a moment, I will discuss the many things we do as specialists to help support these areas of development and things you as a caregiver can do. First, I need you to take a minute and think of what puts you into a sympathetic state. Where are your triggers to become very emotional, so angry or so excited you can't think? You don't have words to express joy, or all you can do is yell. When you want to run away from a situation, what things make you feel just uncomfortable? Is it the temperature? When someone chews with their mouth open? When are you really tired in the day? If possible, pause and take some time to really think about these areas for yourself. Write a list. Then identify the worst to don't like it, but I can live with it. If you are with other people, discuss these areas, as they are very important when working with children and when setting up an environment you and others are in. For me, 5 p.m. hits and I'm done. I've been around kids all day long and my own sweet children have hit the last nerve. I need a break. I need to take a shower, I need a cup of tea, I need to close my eyes to the sounds and sights around me. This doesn't mean I'm ready for bed. It just means I need a calmer, quieter environment. I turn down the lights. I might stretch if I've regulated enough to remember to do so. When I'm not and I forget and don't realize how late it's gotten in the day, I might start yelling at the kids. Get frustrated more quickly if they're not ready for bed on time. We have new routines at home to help support my needs, sensory needs, as well as my own kids' needs, so I don't get upset so much. That being said, it doesn't mean I have sensory processing disorder, which is a term used for when our sensory system within our nervous system is not regulated in a way that is typically can handle the natural environment on a day-to-day basis. This impacts our ability to socialize, interact, complete tasks, and overall handle our current environment. Let's look again at what makes us more emotional. That list is caused by a sensory response. How we experience the world is through our senses. Our auditory, hearing, visual seeing, tactile, the way things feel, touch, olfactory, the smell, oral, taste, vestibular and proprioceptive, which is movement and how we move in space, interceptors, which is internal signals from other organs. Can you identify which of these you are experiencing when you are bothered or upset or very happy? A smell may take you back to a good or bad time in your life. Maybe it's the amount of time. I can handle a child screaming in my ear for a long time. It takes to help them regulate. But I don't want anyone talking to me after that for some time. It is an auditory sensory experience, but it is within a time frame. Our nervous system communicates to us all the time. When we are hungry, tired, something feels good, so we are happy, or someone is kind and we feel loved. It is helpful and interesting to look up love languages as they relate to specific sensory need we seek and enjoy more. It can also be the cause of more negative responses when that is used against us. A child who likes hugs but is hit a lot is going to have a very different response and memory of those. So let's review. The brain has two key areas that impact development. The frontal lobe, which causes us to learn and think, our wise owl, and the back of the brain, which is our fight-flight response, our barking dog. We also have a nervous system that communicates how we experience the world and it affects our emotions. This is all true for children as well. When working with children, There are two critical areas for success: my mental and physical well-being, and self-check. I need enough rest, healthy food, social time, and doing things I love outside of work. I need time to exercise and lower my stress. When you work with children and then have your own, this can be more challenging. I hope to provide some suggestions that will help address all of these needs, and self-checks are a constant reflection on how I am doing right now, especially when a child is doing something that is upsetting my calm. Finally, we need to consider our hierarchy of needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is displayed in this image. Our primary needs are physical food, water, shelter, safety, love, and belonging. The last two have to do with self-development and a sense of autonomy. I can never change a child. I can meet their needs, but I can't change them. I can guide a child, I can teach them, I can love a child, but they choose who they want to be and how to act in a situation. It is their autonomy, their right over their body, and I can't forget that. Also, all behavior is communication. Again, I will repeat that. All behavior is communication. It's an instinctive way to let others know and themselves how we feel about something going on. A child has a meltdown, then are screaming and kicking. I need to know, how is this affecting me? Am I calm? And can I help this child? Or do I need to ask another adult to help the child? Is this the third meltdown today and I need physical space? Is the child safe so I can step away for a minute and breathe to regulate my own emotions? What was happening before this child started being dysregulated? Are their hierarchy of needs being met? Is it close to lunch? Are they hungry? Did they sleep or do they need a nap? Would a cup of water help them? You can't drink and cry at the same time. Also, cold helps wake up the vagal nerve. Do they need a hug? I'm not condoning the kicking and screaming by offering a hug. My physical presence and a hug offers a child a safe space when I am calm. Later, when the child is calm, we can work on handling hand signal or word that will help communicate the need they have, or wanting a hug in a different way. None of this is working. The child is still screaming and kicking. I'm going to give space, wait, and just be present, making sure everyone is safe. Through all of this, I am saying very few words. The auditory and linguistic part of the brain and all the frontal lobe are turned off when the amygdala or the barking dog is on. When a child is calm and regulated, we work on solving the problem. Role-play how to handle that type of situation. Have visual choices that we can do instead of scream or kick when upset. Through this last process, we are going to work on healing our relationship. Even if the child is one who got upset about something, we are the adults. We will also have less meltdowns when we practice these methods over and over with consistency. Our meltdowns might look different than a child's, but we still have them when we're yelling, when we're putting high expectations on a child who cannot do those yet. Children need clear boundaries and expectations. Consider who you go to when you have a problem. Who do you talk to the most? Who do you trust? Who will you do things for? Those you love, right? The same is true for a child, but they're still learning what love and care are. So they trust those who they feel are loving and caring. They are going to help and be a part of learning a new skill much faster and without forcing it when they feel loved and cared about. For every child, it will take a different amount of time and connection, doing things together. In a child care setting, it will be a continual process of adults sitting with the kids to play, talk, take turns, and help clean, because the children are still learning these skills. However, I am not doing it for them. We are doing it together. Examples of connections we can make are as simple as a high five, a hug, playing together, sitting together while eating, a validation that is very specific to what they are doing. I see you use the color orange a lot in your picture. Is that a color you really like? It is nice and bright. Just remember, a child is also another way. Listening to a child is also another way of connecting. So often children are used to having to hear words. People are talking to them. So the process of listening to all they have to say is very important to them, and it shows that you love and care. There are also our kids who have significant sensory needs and very specific interests. Remember our sensory experience and how it is our nervous system communicating? A child may not be able to express that the lights are too bright. The room has an echo and the TV is humming. They may not realize that they are being too rough with their peers. They want to touch everyone and everything. They don't want to be touched or even wear clothing. Foods bother them. They can be the loudest kid in the room, but hold their ears when other kids are loud. These children need their sensory needs met before they will be able to connect with us or engage, learning new skills or complete tasks. How to help kids regulate starts with me. We won't be able to meet every child's sensory needs, but the more we plan for it and are mindful of it, the more we can help their nervous system. You might not be able to change the fluorescent lights, which give off a humming sound. Yes, they do. But maybe you can have a small lamp in the room for low lighting sometimes. Or on bright days, maybe you won't need to turn on the lights at all. We are going to set up the environment for success and take a universal design approach. This means what helps one child will often help other students as well, and everyone is included in activities even if they participate in a different way. It isn't forcing a child, but an invitation to join in their own way. Just like a family, we all have different things we are good at and help to do in the home. It is very important for children to develop skills while being invited to help, that they are important. They won't do it perfectly, but that's okay. They just need to help, so they are learning those skills and feeling that they matter. The U.S. culture tends to look at kids as too young or unable to help. We don't include children enough in tasks that are not chores. It's just what we do every day in a home, because we are a family and a community. making food, doing the laundry, doing dishes. The environment needs areas just like a house, a place we sit to eat, an area to play, an area that is comfortable to do movement, songs, and learning together, and a space that we can self-regulate. It currently is often called a calming corner or peace space. This area has very little distractions, some sensory fidgets, maybe a weighted blanket, visuals of our emotions that a child can indicate how they are feeling. There will be children who don't want to use this space. We model it with other children so that even if they don't use the tools right away, they will learn from their peers doing it all the time. In setting up a classroom, you want to make sure that you have clear expectations that are visible for students to see and understand. Those expectations need to be within reason. Let's look at a few examples. If I have a rule or expectation that kids need to sit quietly for an hour lesson, that wouldn't make sense. A child can only focus for about double their age, and an adult usually needs more, around half an hour. You may get up now and use the bathroom, get a drink, be drawing with your pen, or looking at your phone, right? Let kids know with clear directions what you want, and often using pictures to help them know the steps to take. Sit at the table to eat makes sense. They may need a break to walk or a different type of seat like a wobble chair, but they still need to eat at the table and not on the floor. Discuss with adults in your space and with older children what reasonable expectations are. Having consequences that are natural and make sense. Make sure you are willing to face the meltdowns and still calmly state the expectation. Example: if I want the children to join a group together, this is my goal. I want to set up with them for sitting different ways. However, I will clearly define space and remind them not to touch their peers. It may mean we practice personal space. Again, visual and proprioceptive and vestibular system is still developing for young children. Some people never gain this skill completely. If I yell at a child for not sitting in a specific way, then I just turned on their barking dog. They no longer hear me. They are no longer wanting to be with a group. I failed my goal of having this kid sit in a group. However, if I said in a sing-song voice, I can sit in my space, the children are all more likely to hear me, think it's silly, and remember what they need to do. Let's say I still have a student who is kicking friends and hitting them. I will quietly come over to that child and say in a whisper, "Looks like it's hard for you to sit. Let's try a chair." Then, guiding them to a chair that is still close to the group, but far enough not to kick any peers. It may also mean a different adult needs to sit near them. A consequence of practicing during playtime or sitting outside during recess doesn't make sense. It's not a natural consequence, and they won't remember why they need to practice the skill. That is considered punishment. There isn't a logical connection that a child can fully understand. We want discipline where they are helping them learn the skills they need. I find it helpful to write a list of expectations for each area and task for the day. Then make a list of things that would be natural consequences and help a child learn to process they need to take. This can help them a lot of other teachers as well as other people who are watching the child at different times of the day. For example, my husband and I take turns watching the kids while the other one is working. So it's important for us to discuss things on how we want them to learn skills on what a natural consequence would be for them. It's okay for one place to be have different expectations. A library has different social expectations than a playground, and grandma's house is different than school. Let's do another example. I want the kids to clean up their toys. I'm going to give a reminder that we are going to pick up the toys in 5 minutes. This removes the surprise of having a transition. I would set a visual timer so they can see the time passing because time is abstract. I may give a 1-minute warning. I put on a cleanup song to help make it more fun. If I am able to, I will sit on the floor with the kids to help put the toys away. I might say, I know I didn't play with these toys, but I can help. This becomes a model for them in how to socially help others. I have one student who doesn't want to clean up. I'm going to sit near them. I may try by first handing them a toy to put in the bin beside them. I can also model and do hand over hand. This may be that I put my hand on their hand and we pick up items and put them in the bin. Or it might mean that the child is having some sensory issues and I'm going to let them put their hand on top of mine while I do the process of cleaning up. Even for infants and toddlers, I want to fill their world with language, even if they don't fully understand. I will verbally review the day with them. First, we are going to clean, then wash our hands, sit at the table to eat lunch. Okay, we are done cleaning. Now we're going to wash our hands and set the table to eat lunch. Let's sit at the table to eat lunch. I remove the surprise of a transition and introduce the word lunch 3 times, making a connection when I say, here's your lunch. I did this for my infants too. We would be driving to their Dithi's house and I'd review the whole day's plan, even when they were only 3 months old, because language matters and that's how the nervous system connections develop and build. I use the word surprise a few times when discussing transitions. For our children who struggle to transition from one space to another, it is a lot like being surprised. Imagine you're watching your favorite movie. Your friend has already planned to come over for dinner, but you're really interested in your movie. All of a sudden, from behind them, they tap on your shoulder and tell you it's time for dinner. You jump. You're surprised. You knew it was coming, but you weren't ready for it. You want to eat with them, but that surprise, that scare, triggered your amygdala. For some of our kids, transitions are always doing that for them. It's that surprise and unexpected. Even if they've done the task 1,000 times and have had the same routine every single day, they still have that quick response. And we want to help remove the surprise for them. We want to come in front of them when we're giving those directions. Another way to help remove this surprise is to have a visual schedule of all the activities in the day. I'll review it several times. I don't put what time they will be done because things can take more or less time. It may need to be moved around as well. An emergency happens, or it's raining and we can't go outside as we had planned. I express that I am disappointed too that it is raining and we can't go outside right now to play, but maybe we can do something else fun, like a dance party. Building sensory breaks and meeting our nervous system's development throughout the day takes some practice. We have students who stim a lot. This means they do a repetitive movement, sound, or eye focus. Examples are touching the rug over and over again, rocking, doing clicking sounds with their mouth, or many other more methods. It's important to note that everyone stims. All of us do it. It could be someone who clicks their pen or plays with their hair. It's how we regulate our nervous system and give ourselves a sense of calm and safety. The only difference is that these movements or stims can get in the way of learning or distract others too much. However, we now know that many children, if they are told to stop, their focus goes to trying not to move, that they don't learn anything. It is better to let them rock or move. Maybe it means having them sit in the back row with a little more space so they don't bump others. A child's sensory needs are not linear. We can't say that a child will have the same needs each day, but usually are consistent with things that bother them. Remember universal design? That helps one child will often help others. So doing exercises like yoga stretches can help a child work on balance, an area of the vestibular system that is usually a point of struggle for students with autism and ADHD. But there doesn't have to be a diagnosis for it to help any and all of us regulate our systems. We all have the same nervous system, just some are under-responding, not as aware of the sensation or over-responding. They sense things too much, and even the gentlest touch can bother them. Or sound. Things are experienced as an extreme. Rhythmic music and greetings build in concepts of memory, sense of safety, and social recognition. There are a ton of these songs online to say hello to each other. Review concepts such as colors, shapes, and days of the week. There are also a lot of them that are repetitive enough for children to do the same motions, which build in following directions, hand-eye coordination, and vestibular and proprioceptive, auditory, and engaging the prefrontal cortex. In other words, whole body learning. These exercises before a task that requires focus can be very helpful. We practice these skills daily and a few times a day while the child is regulated so that it helps them when they are feeling dysregulated. An extra bonus is that as adults, it also meets some of our own self-care needs. Exercising with kids can be fun, silly, social, help us relax and enjoy our work more. Self-care doesn't have to be something we do alone. Finally, that all-important vagal nerve needs to be woken up for a lot of our students who have sensory-seeking needs. However, that is true for everyone. When we are emotionally upset, or having a big emotion, and in our fight-flight response, or barking dog is loud, we all need to wake up that gatekeeper, our vagal nerve. One of the easiest ways to do this is to hum. If you try an ah sound, like ah, that was good, you can hear it in your throat, but try a sound. You're going to feel that vibration in your chest. This is the much deeper vibration that stimulates the vagal nerve. Deep, slow breaths and singing can all wake it up as well. Practicing these exercises daily will make it much easier when a child is dysregulated to get them to try and do it as well. It will often start with a process without saying anything to them, just being near them. I then may invite them to do it with me or to get a hug. In a hug, I may hum, which is vibrating them as well as myself, and helping them re-regulate. I never force this physical touch, as it needs to be their choice. It is critical that a child learns autonomy when young for their long-term mental and physical safety. I may also offer two choices I'm okay with to help a child make their own choices and feel a sense of control. Do you want to sit near me or the other teacher? Do you want to hold my hand or a peer's hand while crossing the road? Safety always comes first, and there may not be a choice. If a child is dysregulated, I won't give choices because they can't make those decisions right now. Visual choices may help. There are times that some restrictive supports are needed, such as holding a child so they don't hurt themselves or others. However, I'm a trained professional in this area and would never recommend one does that without training. There are many programs out there that will provide professional training to caregivers to ensure best and safest practices are used in keeping children safe. I take walks with the child every day, but one student has started running across the street in front of me. This is a safety issue, and even after discussing it with them and practicing, they have done it again. This child is no longer allowed on walks for now. In a safe space, I will do stories, set the room up like a town, and practice walking across the street with them. They will hold my hand or a peer's hand. Once they are showing safe choices, we can practice outside, just back and forth from the front of the building. After they are showing safe choices, we can try a walk again. I will likely guide them and have them closer to me or another adult for quick safety response. I may give them a picture to hold while they are walking, or a backpack with a few books for weighted support. The running off is an impulsive action. They aren't able to stop and think about what may happen if they can tell me later. Even if they can't tell me later what happened. They may have a sensory need where they need more physical weight to hold because they can't tell what their body is doing in space. Again, always discuss with the child's family and teachers and other caregivers on the best strategies to help a student. Deep pressure is an area that we notice is needed for a lot of children. It is similar to a bear hug, or in various points of our body, or joint compression. I encourage you to discuss and practice with the student's therapist if this is something they need. I am showing you what it looks like now, just so you get an idea of what is being done if you see a therapist doing these exercises. We want to make sure we aren't hurting a child's joints. This is why you see the motion of pushing on either side of the joints together. It should be done on children without ever hurting them, especially if they are not yet old enough to articulate or able to say what they need and want. And never on the head until after the age of 3, because the skull is still forming. I'm always asking a child as I am squeezing them if they want it. I know that they want it or don't, but even if they can't talk by their body language, they may pull away or they may push harder into me, and I know that it's helping them. They may shake their head yes or no. I'm constantly asking the question if they want to be squeezed in any location of their body. It's their body, and I need them to know they have full control. I respect what they need and want in a safe and healthy way. I can teach them the same process through allowing them to push on a wall. I may say something like, "Can you move this wall for me? We need more space." The push seems the same signal to the muscles and nervous system as squeezes do. Make sure feet are in a safe space so they don't fall. I then have them shake it off, that energy, and do it again. They can push with their arms, hands, head, back, any part of their body that seems to need those squeezes. It can be allowing a child to lay on their stomach to listen to a story. All of these things help a child feel themselves in their environment, feel grounded and safe. With enough practice, when calm, they can be more easily encouraged to do it when upset. I have had students say that they were angry and didn't know why. I have them hum or push on a wall with me and instantly smile and feel re-regulated. When asked how they feel, they'll say, "I'm happy," or "I feel better." My child doesn't want to go to bed. She throws herself on the floor and screams that I'm hurting her. I haven't touched her, just reminded her that it was soon bedtime. We have a routine, but she isn't wanting to do any of it. Yes, she needs to brush her teeth, but I'm not forcing it right now. She is dysregulated. I sit close, but not close enough that she can hit. I take a few deep breaths, and I'm tired and done for the day too. She is likely very tired. I remind myself that she needs me, or that I can do this. I'm human and need to have positive phrases too. I finally say, "It's hard to go to bed. I like playing too." My arms are open for a hug if she wants it. Instead, she comes over and starts hitting me. I stand up, move away saying, "Okay to be mad, can't hit. I can push on this wall or hit my pillow." Eventually, I don't want her hitting at all, but that's her anger response, and she needs help getting to safe choices. More screaming and finally comes and holds my legs. I get down to her level and hug. She's still screaming, "No bed, no bed." I start to yawn on purpose, saying my eyes are heavy, my body is wiggly. I'm going to lay on this bed and just see what my body is saying. I'm not going to sleep yet. I just need to hear my body. I'm going to take deep breaths. I'm inviting her, but not forcing her. I think my body needs some stretches. I do a few yoga poses. I roll on the floor. She thinks this is funny and does them with me. She runs off and brushes her teeth. I offer a story where she lays on her belly. She's still small, so sometimes she wants to lay on my belly while I read. Or we may lay in bed and look at things around us. We don't have to sleep. Our brain and our eyes just need us to rest for a while, or we will get sick. We don't want bugs to get us. Making the process a silly story or an idea with truth. With practice, they learn that yes, they need to still rest. But I will hear their no, and I am still responding to it in a sense that I am keeping them safe. She finally falls asleep. Eating can be a big trigger point for some kids. Eating can be a big trigger point for some kids. Smells, sounds of chewing, strange looking food. I encourage you to discuss this with pediatrician or therapist if this is an area of concern. I do want to note that eating shouldn't be stressful. We want to encourage new foods, but slowly. Eating should be social and fun. It is a time to sit together and discuss the day or an area of interest. Let's say our child only likes birds. I may say, can you make your food look like a bird? I may move my food to look like a bird and make the sound of a bird. Tweet, 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 tweet. My bird is flying to Grandma's house. I like playing outside at her house. I started and modeled a conversation. I included a lot of language that was easy to understand. We aren't even eating it yet. I like eating bananas. How about you? And then I eat them. My child likes bananas, so they will likely eat it too. They aren't sure about the strawberries, so I will discuss what they look like, feel like, and smell like. Maybe they will try giving it a kiss with me. The point is to make eating fun and safe, those basic needs. Another area is play is a critical time for learning social skills and emotional regulation. Students who make progress socially do better academically and in life choices as they learn how to solve problems. Sensory tools. There are many options out there, but here are a few that I do appreciate. A pop-up tent. It can help to remove visual input. Of course, one side will always need to be open to make sure everyone is safe. Sound canceling out headphones, which block out most sounds but can still be heard with a quieter voice. So they can still hear a quiet story being read to them or someone else talking, but it sounds more normal to them and not so loud. It also can help remove the sound of the lights around them. Weighted blankets, giving pressure on the legs or arms to help while sitting or feeling more present. A small toy light, sand timer, sensory bottle, poppet toys, sensory noodles, balancing board, which is great for the vestibular and resetting the nervous system and focus. Physical lack of balance causes a need for control, which also causes then the behaviors for wanting control. Climbing tube, slide, swing, therapy balls, multiple sensory input, which also regulate and encourages the executive functioning skills. Yoga, breathing, tapping, visual emotions. Puppets, this removes the adult telling a child what to do. A puppet can discuss how they are feeling or ask questions to help solve problems. They can talk to the puppet. They can hug the puppet in a quiet space. Puppets can also be great to use during story time or as a group activity. Play-Doh or modeling clay. The muscles in the hands are one of the last muscles to be developed, and most kids aren't ready for crayons or scissors. It doesn't mean they shouldn't be exposed to them, but it shouldn't be the only method to help develop those muscles in their hands. Children's creativity is very crucial. In fact, it is seen and known that kids lose a lot of their ability and skills throughout their educational development. This tells us that through studies that children are actually very creative naturally, but through time have learned not to be as creative through the education process. This is sad. We also know that this is a very vital skill for success in life. If we are not continuing to be creative, then we lose the ability to develop new tools, technology, science, engineering, literacy, and the arts. We need it, and they need it for a healthy and sound development. Allowing a child to create something in a way that makes maybe you had not planned is okay, as long as they're being safe. The other tool I like is having themes, because you can include a lot of skills and make it more memorable. If the skill for the week is pizzas, I would have lots of activities around pizzas, comparing shapes of pizzas, using Play-Doh to make a pizza, how I ask for pizza and what I want on it. There are a lot of great stories you can tell get at the library or online, and songs as well. All of these make more connections through concepts of literacy, mathematics, science, social studies, music, art, social skills, and sensory needs, all within one topic, making the skills more permanent within the brain as it combines and utilizes far more sections of the brain or frontal lobe. As the saying goes, neurons that fire together wire together. The more neurons, system pathways used will become stronger. By doing that, they're developing a stronger connection within their brain, in their frontal lobe, and focusing more on that than on their amygdala and their barking dog response to circumstances. It makes them better problem solvers. How we communicate is crucial, and the words we use matter. There are verbal and nonverbal communication, tone of voice and body language, as well as the types of words we choose to use. It's important to remember children will not always do as we say, but they will do as we act. They copy us. Are our words kind and respectful? Would you want them talking to you that way? Things we don't say or shouldn't say is calling a child a baby or to act their age. Instead, it seems like you're having a hard time. Do you need help? Let's take a break. Are much better responses than to criticize and to shame a child for their actions. Again, all behavior is communication. It won't help to shame them. They won't remember anything except that amygdala response, that emotional response that puts them into fear. So we need to regulate ourselves first. Sometimes it means we have to say sorry. We made a mistake. We slip up, and it's okay. My daughter one evening helped me in the kitchen with dinner. She is the youngest and only 2 at the time. I tell her dinner is ready. To my dismay, she puts her hands on her hips and yells, "Boys, it's time for dinner." My heart dropped into my stomach. I didn't know if I wanted to cry or laugh. I realized that she must have seen me do it far too many times in calling the kids for dinner, that I really needed to change how I did it. I got down and told her that wasn't how we need to get our brothers for dinner, and that we need to do something different. Again, we aren't perfect. We get it wrong or make mistakes. That's okay. It's how we move forward. Great teachers reflect on our days and discuss with each other new ways to deal with things. I hope this video helps you in that as well, to reflect and discuss different strategies that might help your students do far better. It has been a privilege and an honor to share some of my experience with you, and I wish you all the best. Feel free to contact me at any time with any questions, concerns, or things you would like to know more about.